This is Jefferson Close-Up. I'm Carol Celine. My guest is Chairman of Urology, Dr. Leonard Gomella. Welcome. Now, you did something very interesting in high school. You started an ambulance corps. Tell us about that.
Well, it was an interest in doing something for community service, and the neighborhood right next to mine in New York City had this very vibrant volunteer community ambulance service, and we had nothing of the sort in our community, which is right next door. So I began to look into different options, and what we were able to ultimately do was have the local Lions Club get interested in supporting this. They bought us a 1964 Cadillac ambulance, and we started with buckets out on the street. We raised funds to get this going, and I was fortunate enough to run it for my senior year in high school and all throughout college, and it continued after that. The interesting about that is that when I actually started the whole organization, I was actually too young to be legally the president of the organization, so they, in the newspapers, they actually dubbed us, the Daily News called us the Kiddie Corps, and we had to have other people kind of fill in as president until I turned 18 years old and I could legally run it. So it was a lot of fun.
That is such a wonderful story. And yet, with all of this activity with the Ambulance Corps, you found time to be editor-in-chief of your high school newspaper. You've never stopped writing. You've done over 350 scientific articles and contributed to journals. So I'm wondering, if you were not a doctor, would you want to be a writer?
Well, actually not really. My real passion outside of medicine is really playing the guitar. I'm really not a very good guitarist, but I've been doing it for many years, and I'd really sort of like to be more like Eric Clapton, but without the drugs.
Love it. I love it. Now, I have to already know the answer to this question, because with everything else you do, you probably collect something. What do you collect?
Well, a couple of years ago, my wife bought me an antique wind-up phonograph, and we became fascinated by it. And over the years, we've developed this quite massive collection of about 55 different horn phonographs. Of course, the Victrolas and the Victor Company, being sort of a Philadelphia, Camden-based operation, sort of got us a lot of fascination. But it's not only about the phonographs, it's about the records and all the other little things that go along with the phonographs. So my wife and I both enjoy collecting that as one of our hobbies.
Now, you've been married 30 years. You mentioned your wife, and you have 4 sons, and you told me your wife has taken you all over the world. I guess she's the trip planner. So what's the favorite place that you've been? Yeah,
she's done an unbelievable job of introducing me and the children to all different parts of the world. That's what we do every year. We're not beach people, we're not mountain people, but we tend to take one big trip a year. And I think really the most memorable was probably French Polynesia. It's a place that people never think about going to. It's probably what Hawaii looked like 200 years ago. It's pristine, the water's unbelievable, the people are friendly, and if you're hungry, you just walk down the street and there's fruit hanging all over the place. It's a lot like paradise, and we had an unbelievable and a most memorable time there.
That's like Gauguin country, I guess.
It is. That's exactly right. Nice stuff.
Now, other than busy, which you certainly are, how do you think people would describe you?
I think people would describe me as being very committed to my family and my work. That's how I spend most of my time. I really feel very passionate about what I do every day and feel like supporting my faculty and supporting what they do every day leads to excellent patient care. So I think that people would say that I'm pretty intense about supporting what I do professionally.
You are certainly not a candidate to join the Procrastinators Club. Now, other than how you live your life by example, is there a message you pass on to your children?
Well, I tell the children really to be very appreciative of what they have. Don't compare yourself to others. People are always going to have more or less than you. Just be satisfied with what you have, and always look forward and do things that drive your passion in life.
What about your patients? What do you tell them?
Well, I had a lot of experiences with my elderly parents, working them through the healthcare system, and to be honest, there was some of the experiences, not here locally, but where they were cared for, were not particularly positive. I really want to make sure that people don't experience the kind of things that I had experienced with my parents in the healthcare system, and really make sure that I try to care for them in the best way possible, and imagine that I was in their shoes with dealing with their health issues.
Example is the best teacher.
Exactly.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.